Continuing from a previous video, as you can see, our test is still failing. Now it cannot find this string with 2 invalid email addresses. And if we go back to our test, you can see this is where this assertion is placed. So we successfully are getting the response OK, which is 200 status code. Then we get the import completed string. Then we can also see that we've imported 2 records, but we now cannot see these 2 invalid email addresses. So what we're going to do is go back to our result.blade.php, and we are going to create another paragraph. And here I'm going to start with a strong, and I'm going to put the message your file contained colon, and then after all this new line, and we're going to start with a set of curly brackets, invalid emails variable, and here we are going to use error back, and we call get invalid emails. As you can remember, this error back get method, if we just go back to components, error back get will get us the number of the count basically for the given index from within the errors property. So if we go back, so this should tell us how many invalid email addresses were there, and we associated this with a variable for exactly same purpose as here, because we're going to use it again rather than calling this get method again. We're just going to use the variable. So here we're going to say so many invalid email, and now for the address or addresses to again we're going to use this string plural. We put address and then invalid emails. So this will either return address or addresses depending on how many there are. So if I save it, run the test now, we have these 2 invalid email addresses. The message should now change. We still should be failing, and we do, but obviously we get different one. Now it's 1 duplicate error, duplicate record is what isn't showing. So after this one, we are going to do BR, and let me just close the file browser on the left so things are aligned a little bit better. Okay, for this one, we're gonna go for non-unique emails. If we just open our test, we have duplicate records. So this is actually the one that's associated with this non-unique emails. So non-unique emails equals error back get, and it's going to be non-unique emails. And then we're going to say duplicate string plural again, and it's going to be record. So for instance, 10 duplicate records if there is more than one, obviously. And let's pass this non-unique emails variable through so we know how many, and then the string plural is going to figure out whether it's record or records. Okay, save it, run a test again. It fails again, but this time with a different message. It doesn't see 0 records or 0 already existing records. It doesn't see this within our returned view. So again, new line. This time we're going to do duplicate emails equals error back get duplicate emails, and already existing, and again string plural, record, and we pass duplicate emails. Save it, run a test again, and there we go, everything's passing. So we finally made our test pass. So up until now everything is okay. And the next thing we need to do, I want to upload another file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this from within the same test method. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this call method and paste it right after this don't-seen database, the last one. Only this time we're going to be importing this mailing list too. If we open a file browser, if we open our test and stubs directory, we have mailing list and mailing list too. And the only difference between the two of these is if I just open them. So this is the first one, and Mark Spencer here has NA. And if we switch to the other one, Mark Spencer here has actually a valid email address. So this one should be imported. That should be the only record that's been added to the database after importing the previous one. And this will already be in a database. Obviously, this will be duplicate within this CSV file and so on. Okay, let's go back. So after this, what I'm going to do is first assert that we get response OK. So this assert response OK. So we should get 200 status. Then we're going to go for this C text, and it's going to be import completed. Next assertion, I'm just going to duplicate this line and change the text here. We should have you have imported one record because the other one were duplicates or invalid. Then if I duplicate this one, then we should have one invalid email address. And let me just actually u with lowercase o. One invalid email address. If we just go back to our CSV file, this is the only invalid email address within this CSV file. So that's this one. Let's create another assertion here. Then we should have a one duplicate record. And here we are referring to the duplicate within the CSV file, which is going to be this Jesse and Jesse after this one has been filtered. And then another one is going to say two already existing records. So if we save it, because these two obviously are imported from the previous spreadsheet, if we save it, run the test, and there we go, everything passes. So that's great. Now we need to put a few more assertions. We're going to start with this assert count, and it should be 3 records in the database. Now when we run mailing list all method, save it, run it, and that passes as well. Back to the editor. After this assert count, we're gonna say that we're gonna assert that we see record in the database. So see in database table mailing list, and here we should see name John Doe from the previous import, and email should be johndoe.com, all lowercase. Save it, run it, and there we go, 32 assertions, all of which are passing. Let's duplicate this one. We should also see Jesse Doe, and it's going to be jesse12doe.com, run it, 33 assertions, all good. Okay, we should also see this newly imported record, which was Mark Spencer, and the email address was markspencer.com. Let's run it. 34 assertions, all of which are passing. And then 2 records that we shouldn't see. This don't see in database mailing list. We shouldn't see the record with name Greg Monty. And also, if I just copy this one, we shouldn't see the one with Brian Smith with email Jesse12, because this one obviously would be a duplicate within the CSV file. So .com. Okay, let's run this, and everything passes just fine. Now if we go back to the editor and have a look at our result plate, we only displayed basically the information about how many records were imported, how many weren't, any problems, and so on. But we didn't actually display any of the imported records, which is what we want to have. So the first thing we're going to do is go back to our mailing list test, and I'm going to start right at the top for the first request. So we call the uploading this mailing list CSV, and then I also want to see these records which I have imported, because that's what should be displayed on it. So we should see John Doe text on the page with the email address, so johndoe.com, and we should also see, I'm just going to duplicate this one, Jesse Doe with jesse12@doe.com. So that's what we should see here. And then we also should see after this one, because here we only imported 1 record, I'm going to duplicate this last assertion. We should see this Mark Spencer, then colon, and his email address. So that's what we should see if I just paste it here. And if I run the test now, obviously this will fail. There we go. We doesn't see John Doe with his email address. Okay, I'm just going to clear the screen, back to our editor, and then back to our result blade. What I'm going to do here is start after this wrapper. I'm going to create another div with the wrapper class. This is giving us this gray box wrapping the content. And here I'm going to start with a UL class list. And rather than using for each, I'm going to use each directive. I'm going to pass the view that I want to use, which is going to be mailing list. It's going to be within the partials directory, and it's going to be called raw.blade.php. So we only have to put raw here. So this is the one for each record, for each iteration. Then we pass the collection, which is stored within this variable subscribers. So subscribers, and then how each one is going to be referred to from within this view here. It's going to be simply subscriber variable. And then if this subscribers collection is empty, what should we display instead? Mailing list partials and then raw-empty, and it's going to be .blade.php. And we can put all these on new line separately, so it's a little bit easier to read. And let's indent it, and there we go. So open the file browser, mailing list, then we go to resources, views, mailing list. Let's create this directory partials. And let's create both of these files. So the first one is going to be raw.blade.php. So that's the first one. And the second one is going to be raw-empty.blade.php. There we go. Okay, so we have both of these files. If I now go back to raw blade here, I'm going to use this li as one of the items, then within the set of brackets, subscriber name, colon, space, and then subscriber email. So that's what we should see. Otherwise, we should see, if I just open this raw empty blade, again with the in between the li tags, it's going to be no records were imported. Save it. I'm going to close this file, this one as well, this error back as well. And the view is done, so we can close it as well. Back to our test. If we run it now, and there we go, everything passes. Now, one other scenario that I would like to do is to check that when I'm importing the same spreadsheet as I did before, that none of the records is displayed. None of the records is imported, and that we actually see this message from within this no records were imported view. So let's just copy this entire thing. So I'm going to copy all this and go back, go right to the bottom here, make another call with the same file, and now import completed. We'll still see this, but we're going to see you have imported 0 records, and we're going to see how many invalid email addresses were there. Within this mailing list there was only one, so one stays here. Duplicate records within a spreadsheet, within this file, if we just go back, within this one we only have this Jesse twice, so it's only one. And then already existing records, there will be 3, because 3 after these 2 calls, we already have 3 records in the database, and we shouldn't see any of this. We should see whatever we put in here and is empty. So I'm just going to copy this message and paste it here. And let's run this test again, PHP unit, and there we go. Now we also want to make sure that we didn't add any records. I'm just going to copy all this again, all this accession. We could actually extract it to a separate method, but it's just a quick test, so yeah, so I'm just going to paste it. Nothing should change, so everything should stay the same. If I run it again, and there we go, 5 tests, 52 assertions, all of which are passing. So I think now it's a good time to test our project in the browser. So let's open the browser, and there we go, our landing page. First of all, I'm going to try and hit upload without selecting any file. And there we go, validation message displays. The file field is required. I'm going to select the invalid file format. So if I navigate to my code directory, mailing list, and within these test directories tabs, we have this document PDF. There we go. And if I hit upload, that should tell me that, yeah, the file type is wrong. That's great. Now, if I select this mailing list CSV and click on open. Before I hit upload, let's just check that our table's clear. There's no records there. Hit upload. And there we go. We have 2 records imported, 2 invalid email addresses, 1 duplicate records, 0 already existing in a database. And these are the ones that were imported. Okay, one other thing I just noticed, we don't have this button which I actually added in the original project. So let's just open this resultblade.php file, and what I'm going to add here right after this paragraph, second paragraph here in this first wrapper, let's put /href / just to go back to the form and class button, and let's say import another, for instance. Save it and close it. Back to the browser. Now we just have to reload the page. Now that we know we have 2 files, let's just check again within the database. There we go. These 2 have been records. These 2 records have been imported. Now I'm going to try and import the same spreadsheet. If we hit upload, that's going to tell me that it imported 0 records because 2 were invalid, 1 duplicate, and 2 were already in a database. And then we have this no records were imported message. And again, another thing that I've forgotten to do is add this heading. Let's just go back to these results. And before this list, in a second wrapper, I'm going to put H2 imported records. There we go. Save it and close it. Now import another. This time let's select this second one. So we should be able to import just 1 record from there. Hit on upload, and there we go. 1 record uploaded, 1 invalid, 1 duplicate, 2 already in the database, and the record that's been imported is this one. Let's try again the same file. Upload, and no records imported because we already have all 3 valid ones in the database. Okay, so that's it in this series. I hope you enjoyed this. Any questions, suggestions, use our comment section.